made full sense to me for, a long time, and I'm just sharing. Philippians 3:11. But the verse before that, first, that I may know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings, being made conformable unto his death, if by any means I might attain unto the resurrection of the dead. The way you read that, the way it makes it sound like, is that if he's doing everything he can, that he might attain, receive. What's the word attain there? Oh, come on. Come on. Arrive at, attain, arrive unto the resurrection of the dead. Is he talking about the actual resurrection? Is he being spiritual here? Then he says, not as though I had already attained, either were already perfect, but I follow after, if that I may apprehend that for which also I am apprehended of Yahushua. It doesn't sound right, does it? If by any means I might attain unto the resurrection of the dead. So let's say he somehow doesn't attain this, goes off the path, falls out of the truth. Then I guess he won't even be in the resurrection at all. He'll just be dead forever, right? It's kind of what it sounds like, doesn't it? Sure does. And the way you read that, it doesn't seem to have any other meaning. If by any means I might attain unto the resurrection of the dead, it sort of implies that if he doesn't attain, because once saved, always saved. Read a few of Paul's letters to see how clear, he didn't believe such thing where you're just, oh, I'm done, it's over, that kind of 7-second prayer salvation. But yeah, once saved, once glorified, or what's a word that replaces glorified? Once you're changed and you're not corrupted anymore with corruptible body, then you're saved. Yeah, obviously. Hopefully you can't go back into some crazy sin all over again, right? Hopefully not, once you're saved. And that teaching does away with some major truth, Oh, I'm saved, so why is he coming back for salvation then? Well, I was saved, but, our body needs to be saved. I guess that's what they would say. Pretty silly. So I'm looking, and there's not very many, even the Young's Literal has the same kind of, if anyhow I may attain to the rising again of the dead. So if he doesn't attain, he's not going to rise again out of the dead, right? Just no resurrection of the unjust. He's just dead forever. That's when I go back to the Concordant to see the last straw out of many translations. See if it gets it right, because if there's one translation that might get it right and all of them don't, it's probably the Concordant literal, the Concordant literal. And may be found in him, not having my righteousness, which is of law. To know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings, conforming to his death, if somehow I should be attaining to the resurrection that is out from among the dead. Okay, that's shedding some new light, and I believe that's the way it actually should be. That's actually a closer translation of the truth than just simply a rising out of the dead, because that word resurrection there is a different word that's translated resurrection other places. It's a different Greek word in verse 11, Philippians 3:11. It's not the exact same word. This makes more sense. He's doing all these things so that if somehow I should be attaining to the resurrection that is out from among the dead. Sounds like a special resurrection now, doesn't it? Sounds like the first resurrection now, doesn't it? Out from among the dead, the resurrection of the living and the dead, spiritually dead. Um, yeah, it's a given. Everyone's going to be resurrected, but I don't want to be in the resurrection of judgment, the resurrection of the dead. He wants to be in the better, like he said in somewhere else, the better resurrection. He calls the first resurrection the better one. He wants to attain the resurrection that is out, like almost called out, that is out from among the dead, pulled out from among the dead, large group, right? Many called future, the first fruits of the harvest, which surely means that there's more coming, doesn't it? There's no such thing as first fruits and then nothing else. And some, those who deserve many lashes will get many, and those who deserve few lashes will get few. I'm glad there's a righteous judge somewhere in this creation. I'm glad it's not me. I'm glad it's nobody else. I'm sure as heck glad it's not theologians and Christianity in general and its hirelings and pastors that have taught lies forever since the beginning, close to the beginning. Their judgment is to lash people with no end, and then they're the ones breaking his commandments and laws and days and everything. They're telling the whole world what's going to happen. You're going to be whipped forever with no end. All of them. But then, they themselves don't even, what are they doing? They themselves are calling on the Lord and the Baal and the Jesus and God, and they don't keep his true way. And they're telling everyone else what's going to happen with them. A little bit hypocritical, just a little bit evil, I suppose if the scriptures taught, we would have to believe it, wouldn't we? What else would we have? Or it's either that or fall away into some other, whatever, some kind of world religion. But that's not the case, is it? No one's going to be whipped and lashed with no end. Those who deserve few get few. Those who deserve many get many. Now, this is not changing the temperature of the flames everlastingly. 12,000 degrees for Hitler, 4,000 for someone else, and maybe 500 for someone else. Just the fact that he says that he teaches that, implies limited duration and judgment. Those who deserve many will get many. How do you get forever out of that? Those who deserve few will get few. Pretty simple. Those who deserve few won't get more than the few they deserve. Their judgment won't be more than what they deserve, right? Yes, right. Or else those who deserve few get few means nothing. There's no meaning to it. In fact, it becomes evil. Those who deserve few are everlastingly whipped, It's not few anymore, is it? And he's specifically talking about what? Judgment. The judgment. Gehenna. Gehenna fire. Not on this earth. Judgment. Nobody's getting judged like that. The wicked are shown favor concerning his judgments. Because if his judgments were on the wicked, then they would be learning righteousness, wouldn't they? But his wrath is on them. His favor, wrath, letting you do what you want. Go your way, and I'll turn you over to your sins. Turn you over. So you have to understand there's a different meaning when you say judgment. It's not, his judgments are on them too, but that's not what I'm saying. You have to rightly divide. There's more than one understanding of judgment. When his judgments are in the earth, the inhabitants of the earth will learn righteousness. what's happening to the few chosen now, whoever they are, will happen to all people someday on the earth. They will all learn like the few chosen have since Adam and Eve. There's always been a few, but there's a time coming when those judgments will be manifested. And these judgments are the correcting, chastising, loving, strict judgments, spiritual judgment on somebody, his favor, grace, as it's called. I like to say favor. So when you see a sinner not turning from their sin, that's not his judgments on that person. That's his wrath. It's his wrath judgment. That's his patience toward the wicked. That's his favor in a different way, not the same kind of favor a believer has. Favor as in my judgments aren't on you. Because right after that verse that says, when your judgments are in all the earth, the inhabitants of the earth shall learn righteousness. And it says right after that verse, yet show favor to the wicked, and he will not learn or be corrected or do anything, right? Then you show favor, then two different things. The spiritual judgment, or that favor of allowing you to be a lost sheep and going and eating pig's food. He hasn't shown that special kind of favor, judgment on that person yet. But those who are the judgment, they've died. So the judgment is you die once and then the judgment. So when you die to yourself, to the old man, you die in his baptism, buried with him, then the judgment starts on you because, see, you died. It's appointed for man once to die and then judgment. But that judgment starts at the house of the Father because they died. Then if they overcome sin in this life, then they don't have to go through any kind of that kind of specific judgment. They go into life and reign with him, and they are, they're not judged like as with the rest of the world. That's why he says that he may attain the resurrection that is out from among the dead, special, from out of all these dead, he's pulled out, and we use other scriptures to line it up. The first resurrection is what he's really saying. It's what he's really saying. I'm doing everything to attain the first resurrection. You could almost replace the words. That's the meaning. It's not what it says, but that's the meaning. So there's no escape. If you think, you know what, I don't want to follow him, I don't want to keep his way, it's just not fun, I want to live my own life. Okay, do. Let the filthy be filthy still, but just know there's no escape. Just know that fiery trial and that judgment is coming. Don't worry, he'll do it. There's no escape. Nobody can mock him. You're going to reap what you've sown. But his elect, since the time of the beginning, have always suffered at the hands of the wicked, and then he just keeps separating you from the world more and more, and people start hating you more and more. So this life actually doesn't become, oh, I enjoy this world and the worldly things, and I love my life, and I love riches, and I love women, and I love all these things about this world, this evil age. No, that doesn't really happen. It's more like, when can I get out of here sometimes, when can I get out of here? I'm tired of being burned all the time. But there's no, who are you to talk back, Job tried to do it a little bit. He got scolded and corrected. Why are you doing this to me, man? I thought I was righteous. Took everything from me. Now the wicked count me as a sinner because of all the evil that's happened on me, And the wisdom of the wife, curse him and die, And he turns and says, you speak as a foolish woman. You speak as one of those fools, the Gentiles, the wicked, the unbelievers. And the wicked can't wait till they see something happen to the righteous, right? They just can't wait. It's the sign of approval. Oh, yeah, you're going to live like that? You're going to do that? You know, they can't wait to go on like this, warming up their hands. Oh, man, you looks like you're in a little bit of trouble in life, you know? Yeah, it must be because you're such a good person, right? Let your deity, let your father save you, you know? This isn't coming from atheists. This is coming from Christians. They say that. They've done that. They continue to. It's just that it's not too often they find someone that's actually a believer and serious about his truth. It's not too often so when they stumble across them, they don't, what on earth is going on here? This guy's wicked. Wicked and prideful and self-righteous. Keeps the commandments and laws and all these things. Who does he think he is? Nope. When you establish your own righteousness and your own law and commandments, you are the definition of prideful and self-righteous beast created on day 6, like the beasts were. Not a coincidence. Ecclesiastes 3:18. He would like to show all mankind that they're beasts. They're nothing but beasts. One dies, so does the other. One breath is snuffed out, and so is the other. One goes underground, and so do the others. There's no advantage. There's no advantage. So what's that saying? What's it teaching? Well, that's pretty foolish to be prideful, isn't it? Because now you lost everything. You powerful, rich man who thought he was everything and had everything and loved this world and had so many friends and people love him and esteem him and put him, all those things. Now it's all gone. Died without anything, naked, and then he's going to be brought up in the judgment, and then he's going to see whoever these people are, and we don't want to be them. Hopefully we don't fall off the path. We don't want to be like that, because then you're going to be put to shame and contempt, and you're going to see the righteous, and the wicked are going to bow down to the righteous. They're going to bow. So if you don't want that, man, then you better start hating your life and hating your soul and hating this world pretty quick, because there's not, too much time left to do these things properly and learn them. Your life better start sucking soon, is what I'm saying, because if it doesn't suck in this life, it's gonna suck in the age to come. Pretty much. And that doesn't mean there's no blessings, there's nothing good. I'm just saying, just in this world you have tribulation. That's what I'm saying. If you don't have that, then I don't know you. I don't know who you are. You're not someone I would call a brother if you don't have any tribulation in this world. Zero. None. Because now, he would have to be called a liar, because all of the saints come out of great tribulation. They come out of the great tribulation. All of them. Every last one of them. No one had a free pass and lived like the wicked lived. No. Not one. Not one. You lived like the wicked did, had that kind of worldly, easy life. Everyone loves you. You love this world. You weren't a saint. Sorry, you weren't a saint. So, if you do what's right, you will be hated and you will suffer. How many times do we have to read that over and over for it to ring as truth? People that don't believe this, they read those verses and it's cute. That was for the times back then. They must have had some hard times. We thank our God that we're not persecuted in America and we can worship false deities in America, and we thank God for all the false religions that we can all worship however we want, and the same God is ruler over all these religions, and they don't persecute us. They don't persecute, you're not being persecuted because you're not a threat to the devil. You're of the devil. These people. That's why they're not being persecuted for his name's sake. Special persecution for his name's sake. Everyone has to go through trouble and problems in life. That's true for everyone. But you don't have that special judgment on you if you're not his and a bastard, not a son. He's shown that favor to the wicked. See, and you're not learning because you're a bastard. But a son, he chastises and cracks the whip. If you deserve a few lashes now, you will get a few. If you deserve many, he's going to whip you a lot. Now, not later. So those whips and lashes are coming. Don't be envious of the wicked. Their judgment's going to start after their death, just like it did for us. But it's better to die now than to die later, The judgment literally starts for them after their death. But for us, we already died, so it started now. Second death is here. Welcome second death, Now is the time to become victorious, not another time. Now's the time to overcome all of the sin, which is transgression of the law. That's what sin is. Now is the high time. Now is the time to wake up from the sleep. And not 10 years from now, not 100 years from now, not in the age to come, because you're not going to be going through waking up. You're just going straight to judgment. What that will be like for everyone, no one knows. No one has a clue. No one can imagine the unimaginable, We have whatever scriptures say, but people who go beyond what's written, they're getting into like fantasy, most likely. They don't know. They don't know. It doesn't give you details on why would it? Something we can't even comprehend. No ear has heard, no eye has seen. So you got to get out of your prison now, or else you're going to prison later. Everything is like this. That kind of formula backwards flips around on people, flips around on your life, people, setting the captives free. From what? Sin and death. So you got to get out of your prison now, or else you're going to prison. Because sinners are in prison. So if you die in your sins, you're in a prison in the judgment. You're in a prison in the judgment. But if you're overcoming sins, you're getting out of that prison. You're breaking the bars down now so that you don't have to go into prison. You died the second death to the old man before you died, but they have to die their second death after they die. That's the way it is. There's no escape. And it's going to be a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living Father, isn't it? It's going to be a fearful thing. So they don't have a fear, most people. Most people that say they believe, they don't have a proper fear or no fear at all of him at all and his judgments at all, nothing. They don't tremble at his word, So I can keep giving examples. If you don't tremble now, you're going to be trembling later. Oh yeah, we're all going to be trembling later if we're not trembling at his word now. They'll be trembling. Don't think that his word just disappeared. Oh, they got a free pass, All their life they didn't tremble at his word and nothing happened to me, Nothing too horrible. I lived 70, 80 years old, and I never was a believer. What? Where's your God, your deity? You'll see where he is. Wicked, you'll be trembling. Your knees are going to buckle. Face is going to hit the ground so hard, it might as well split open spiritually. The fall is going to be hard for the prideful and the wicked who thought they were righteous and made their own law and commandments. It's going to be a hard fall. That parable's not a lie. It's true now. For those that don't believe, when they fall, they fall. But that great last fall, that house built on the sand, is going to fall in the judgment. It's going to be a great fall. I see it as true for now and in the future, you know. I see it as now and in the future. It's always true. And I think that's all I got for this one. Maybe you've seen that verse before and thought it was a little odd, you know, almost implying like there won't be a resurrection at all for Paul if he doesn't attain to it. Well, that's the best I could come up with and give you, is that there's a little bit of an issue in most translations on that verse. That's all. The Concordance, one of the only ones that seems to get it right. Fellowship of his sufferings, that he may attain. I should somehow be attaining to the resurrection that is out from among the dead. And we read somewhere else. Not to be judged with the world. We don't want to be judged with the world, because to be judged with the world means you went into the resurrection of judgment, the second resurrection. And I don't see any promises for reigning with him if that's what happens, you know, during that whole age. The wicked don't get to reign. They're cut off. They don't have their part in the reign on the earth. And I think that's it. The meek inherit the earth. The meek inherit the kingdom. But it's a grand plan that he has, isn't it? It's all fair, and it comes back to people. Everything gets flipped over. He seems to like to do that. He likes to have beaten down, hurting, chastised, broken, bruised, hated, and then he turns it around for those people, whoever his people are, and gives them something great. But those who have it all in this world, and they're already great now, and everyone loves them, they're also going to be turned around, aren't they? And they're going to be humbled. But the humbled are going to be lifted up. And those that are lifted up, prideful now, will be humbled, brought low, down. Every mountain will be leveled. You know, it's not just a physical thing, earthquakes, it has a spiritual meaning. Those things in Revelation should be taking place in our lives now. You know, casting the mountain into the sea, and the crooked paths becoming straight, the mountains being leveled and every valley being lifted up. Those are all spiritual things that should be happening now. His fiery judgments should be happening now, and it should be destroying that devil, which is basically us, within us, and being captive to it, to sin. You know, that's being destroyed now. That's how he destroyed the devil, by overcoming sin. He conquered the devil and sin and death by overcoming sin. That's all I got. Peace and blessings, and never give up seeking the truth. It seems like sometimes there's some people that seem to be on the true path, and then something goes off, you know. Maybe they got too popular, famous, started getting prideful as a great person, and then they, you know, start teaching blasphemy and they couldn't see some things for some reason. They got blinded. This happens to some too. This happens to some. They really were on the, they might have really been on this path, or so it seemed for a time. But in the end, they were just, or supposedly, they're, in the end, their whole life, they were just really good deceivers, I guess is one way to say it. Give you certain truths, but then give you blasphemies and lies in other things, other areas, because it's a mixing of the truth. All right, that's all.